So the question is, do you feel Newmarket residents get good value for their tax dollars? And how would you balance services with the need to increase revenues? So the order will be Joe, Steve, and Brad.
As a taxpayer, if you were to ask my wife and myself, I don't think anybody gets good value for taxes, but that's a side effect. I think Newmarket to be ranked the 15th best place to live in Canada because of its fiscal administration, its quality of life, provision of services, facilities, parks, trails, environmental initiatives, the ability to work, play all year in this town, and I agree there is a lot more work that we have to do. I think that I think that in itself speaks volumes about the town of Newmarket. Taxation is a very important issue, and it's going to be very, very important in the next 3-4 years. As we find more and more aging infrastructure, we're going to have to be able to top up our reserves. Earlier, you heard one of the candidates saying that our reserves have been depleted. Our reserves from 2004 to 2006, we took $3 million out of our reserves to address an issue at the Eastern Creek, so Avenue Road, Lewis, parts of Carroll, and Park Avenue and Haskett Park. $3 million, the largest infrastructure project that the town of Newmarket has ever undertaken, and without 1 sensitive impact on your taxes. So yes, we need to go back now and replace that $3 million. How is our taxation picture? Well, last year, the town of Newmarket, the municipal portion of the town of Newmarket, which represents just under 30% of your total tax bill, was only increased by 3.89%. The cost of living was 3.5%. So you have a 4.4% or so that was over the cost of living, allowance in our country. In Ontario. Again, we have the lowest per capita tax in your region. Is there room for improvement? Absolutely. I think you heard earlier, and I think Liz made a very good point. There is a shift in our demographics, and our seniors are going to be filling the pinch. I think that the best thing to do to address our senior who are geared to income housing is to keep the seniors in their own home, the homes that they pay for. So it is time for us now, and that's why we need an experienced council, experienced representation, to look at how our tax base work, and look at where we are directing dollars in our tax base, and change the way we do business. Because Coca-Cola was full of sugar many years ago until people started, didn't want any more sugar. Now there's Coke Zero. Just as like corporations do, the town of Newmarket has to do the same. It has to change the way we do business. It has to address the needs of the constituency of the majority, it is a democratic process, of the majority of our residents. So there will be a need for shifting our tax base, shifting socialization of certain services. So taking from certain areas to put in other areas. Is that going to bring taxes down? No. Anybody that tells us they can do, they're lying. What we can do is have prudent fiscal management and make smart business decisions. They keep the tax bill management, but it gives you good value for the services you receive. Thank you.
I'm very glad this question was asked, because this is the question that everybody wants to know the answer to. I'm going to touch on what Joe just stated. We need prudent fiscal responsibility. The main reason I am running is because I believe that I can be accountable. You're going to hear buzzwords like sustainability, accountable, communication, all the wonderful things, the voice. You hear all these words when you're running for council. I've never run for council, so I look up all these words. When I looked up the word, sustainability was the most important aspect of it. And the reason is because in order for us to have the services we all enjoy in Newmarket, and yes, Liz, I do think we get great value. I think there are fantastic services and amenities in Newmarket. I want to sustain those, but I do not believe that we are managing our tax dollars accordingly. Remember, when you vote for a councillor, you are asking that person to be one of a group of representatives to manage millions upon millions of your tax dollars. You have to have experience in that. You have to have a background and an understanding on how that works. In order to do that, you have to understand how to go to tender, procurement levels. Because one thing I will bring up, and it was brought to me by a resident, in 2005, we went out to tender for the Magna Center, which I think is an amazing center. I'm very glad we have it. But the town of Newmarket was sued, and we settled with your tax dollars for $2.2 million. $2.2 million, which could be used in any other location. And I'm not saying that it's any one particular person's fault, because I firmly believe that everyone in council wants to be and do what's best for Newmarket. But it's about sustainability and accountability and people that have an understanding of how the tax dollars have to work. So I believe that if we are going to manage our tax dollars, we have to be smarter. It doesn't have to increase. We have to look at how we go to tender, we have to look at how we award contracts, and we have to look at how we spend and allocate the money. That's the important thing.
Well, I wouldn't want anyone to think that I don't love Newmarket, because I love Newmarket. And I think it's the best town in the best country in the world, and I'm very proud to live here and be part of it. But this council that's just leaving office has been on a spending spree. And they, for instance, they built a works department on Harry Walker Parkway, spent over $20 million on it in the height of a recession. How insensitive is that? And people are using 27% of the population in the York region is using food banks, and we're putting up works departments with 3 two-story glass houses and all sorts of little perks. And the downside of that is they debentured $12.5 million over 20 years at 4.5% in a recession. I think that shows extremely poor judgment, poor taste. They spent $2 million to revitalize the downtown that didn't really, wasn't really looking to be revitalized. Okay, our parking lots needed tidying up, and they've been neglected for years by various councils, but we didn't need to have them, ripped up and turned into a concrete mall. I believe that any project that council undertakes should sustain the surrounding area, should complement the surrounding area, and allow the surrounding area to grow and develop and flourish. And our concrete mall, even in the face of things, the plan looks okay, and it's got some nice little features to it, like a reflecting pond and whatnot. This project does not sustain downtown Newmarket. And every time I walk out my back door and look at it, I just can't believe it's happening. It's transforming. They've transformed our municipal parking lots, and they've reduced and located our parking to in some instances a distance of 650 feet or 1,500 feet. You're going to be asked to walk and use the parking lot out behind Rexall or the IDA drugstore when you come down to use Main Street. I don't know if you realize that. They're realigning the north lot, and we're all supposed to go up there and park in that lot, and it's just, I never get over it. It's just ridiculous expenditure. In my block alone, we've lost since January, we've lost at least a dozen businesses to Main Street. In our block alone, today, on Main Street, there are 3 empty stores. Merchants have left the street, or they've just gone out of business, and that's the end of it. Now, I find that shocking. And where's it all going to end? I'd like to sit on the next council, and I'd like to be a part of restoring Main Street to its former dignity, to the full potential that it's never seemed to be able to realize. And I thank you for your time. Thank you.
Well, I believe, as my colleague Steve here, I looked up some words too, and I looked up the word fiscal responsibility. And that means being responsible for your money that you pay, that you work hard for all weeks, all years, and for the rest of your life. There are a lot of, with the growth of the region, sometimes increases in certain areas and taxes are unavoidable, but at what costs? When I had this information on NorthRegion.com, a lot of property tax levels receive a constantly poor marks as to government wage controls. And this was off of NorthRegion.com about York business completely disgruntled with municipal taxes. Now, when will the tax increase stop? Well, as a town's grown, as I just mentioned, it's sometimes hard to stop. But as a member voted to your council, I will vote to cease certain increases that I feel will not benefit the residents of the area. Now, of course, there's all this construction going on with the Old Town Hall and this urban space project, but also recently there was a water increase that went from